Hi. When I was preparing for the day long yesterday, um, I went through lots of different handouts and notes and sort of assembled what I wanted to talk about at the workshop. And one of the pieces of paper that I brought with me to Philadelphia that didn't fit in yesterday was the poem Hokusai Says. And this morning, it was calling. It was calling. So if you aren't familiar with Hokusai Says, it was written by uh, Roger Keyes. Roger Keyes he's passed away, was English, was a scholar of Japanese prints, and was also a Zen practitioner, teacher, founded a sangha much like Springboard in England where he lived. And this is an extraordinary piece of work, this poem, inspired by the work of Hokusai, who was a Japanese artist. And so I'll read it. Hokusai says, look carefully. He says, pay attention. Notice. He says, keep looking. Stay curious. He says, there is no end to seeing. He says, look forward to getting old. He says, keep changing. You only get more who you really are. He says, get stuck, accept it, repeat yourself, as long as it is interesting. He says, keep doing what you love. He says, keep praying. He says, every one of us is a child. Every one of us is ancient. Every one of us has a body. He says, every one of us is frightened. He says, every one of us has to find a way to live with fear. He says, everything is alive. Shells, buildings, people, fish, mountains, trees. Wood is alive. Water is alive. Everything has its own life. Everything lives inside us. He says, live with the world inside you. He says, it doesn't matter if you draw or write books. It doesn't matter if you saw wood or catch fish. It doesn't matter if you sit at home and stare at the ants on your veranda, or the shadows of the trees and grasses in your garden. It matters that you care. It matters that you feel. It matters that you notice. It matters that life lives through you. Contentment is life living through you. Joy is life living through you. Satisfaction and strength is life living through you. Peace is life living through you. He says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Look, feel, let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you.
Wonderful. Yeah.
I'm going to read it again. Hokusai says, look carefully. He says, pay attention, notice. He says, keep looking, stay curious. He says, there is no end to seeing. He says, look forward to getting old. He says, keep changing. You only get more who you really are. He says, get stuck, accept it, repeat yourself as long as it is interesting. He says, keep doing what you love. He says, keep praying. He says, every one of us is a child. Every one of us is ancient. Every one of us has a body. He says, every one of us is frightened. He says, every one of us has to find a way to live with fear. He says, everything is alive. Shells, buildings, people, fish, mountains, trees. Wood is alive. Water is alive. Everything has its own life. Everything lives inside us. He says, live with the world inside you. He says, it doesn't matter if you draw or write books. It doesn't matter if you saw wood or catch fish. It doesn't matter if you sit at home and stare at the ants on your veranda or the shadows of trees and grasses in your garden. It matters that you care. It matters that you feel. It matters that you notice. It matters that life lives through you. Contentment is life living through you. Joy is life living through you. Satisfaction and strength is life living through you. Peace is life living through you. He says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Look, feel, let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you. So I'd like to go over it again, and this time sort of do some commentary. So the first section, Hokusai says, look carefully. He says, pay attention, notice. He says, keep looking, stay curious. He says, there is no end to seeing. So I see this as a very lovely statement about mindfulness. He's saying, look carefully, pay attention, notice mindfulness. And then he says, keep looking, stay curious, have a continuity of mindfulness. Bring mindfulness into your life so that you see, so that you notice. And then he goes on to mention some of the aspects of reality of our lives that are troubling, getting old, changing, getting stuck. He says, look forward to getting old. He says, keep changing. You only get more than you really are. He says, get stuck. Then accept it and repeat yourself as long as it is interesting. In our work yesterday, I mentioned a quote from Joseph Goldstein. And in that quote, Joseph was saying that, when difficult things arise in his experience, when he gets stuck, we'll say, he said, I really love when I see it. He said, because the alternative would be I don't see it. And he said, when I see a difficult habit pattern or a stuck place, I'm absolutely delighted because seeing it is the practice. And seeing a difficult experience tells me that I'm developing in the practice, that I'm moving forward in the direction of awakening. This is what this is what Roger Keyes is saying in his poem. Get stuck, accept it. Accept it doesn't mean I want to be stuck. Accept it means I see that this is occurring. I'm not wishing it wasn't occurring. It is occurring. I see it is occurring. I accept that it is occurring. Oh, and I've seen this before. This is a habit. I've seen this habit before. I accept that it's here again. And I have no problem with it repeating because, in fact, it's quite interesting. What does it reveal? It reveals that I'm getting more who I really am. What is getting more who you really are? It's a very difficult thing to see clearly because we're all psychologists. We're all analysts. We all want to delve into, and we all want to see what troubles us where we get stuck. We want to get unstuck. We want to free ourselves from the energy patterns that form what we are. We might call that our personality, our temperament. And what we miss is that that's what we are as living beings. We can imagine that we have a completely different personality than the one that we have, or at least a very sweetly adjusted one. But we can't not have one. We have temperament. We are inclined in this way because our very nature is a formation, a fabrication of different streams. Streams that come simply from being this type of life form, a human. Streams that come for the particularity of our heritage from our ancestors. Streams that come from the environment where I was born. You know, that I was not born in Kenya. I was not born in Sichuan. I was born in Brooklyn. And that forms my temperament and my personality. Very much. And the shift to having been born somewhere else and still be dealing with these same concerns. So he says, keep doing what you love. I was talking with someone, a little more than a week ago, and they were troubled by life. Internally, externally, aging, all sorts of things. And, sort of the question, what should I do, came up. And I said, have fun. Do what you love. Do what you love. Simplify your life so that you have the time to do what you love. And then the poem goes on. He says, keep praying. Praying. So what is prayer? First of all, prayer is an attempt to be connected. Prayer is always a connection being made. Whatever you're praying to the swirling, ever-changing life that is throughout the universe, praying for, movements of energy and forces and beings to move in a direction favorable to your own well-being, praying for peace, always praying for peace, internally and externally, peace for all beings. I pray at the end of every one of our sits, right? May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be at ease. It's a prayer. What's the point of praying? Well, life isn't so easy. He says, every one of us is a child. We're just beginning. We're just learning. How many times do I talk to people I know who are, my age, older, a little younger, but, much closer to the end of life than the beginning. And the concept, oh, I wish I could take all that I've learned, all this experience and wisdom, and go and be a kid again. Well, you are a kid. You're still learning. You're still growing. You're still changing. You still have opportunities to play. Go have fun. And then Hokusai says, every one of us is ancient. We are our ancestors. And not just ancestors like grandparents and stuff like that, but whatever organisms that, began billions of years ago. We, of course, are their descendants. What else would we be? Life gives birth to life, gives birth to life, gives birth to life. The forms keep changing. The life remains. The life remains. Every one of us has a body filled with that very life. And the body, though, feels very separate. This is my body. This is everything else. It feels separate. Every one of us is frightened. Separateness is the cause of fear. How is this body, this being, this Brian, how am I going to do? Or you, look at you, I'm looking at you right now. I care about you so much. How are you going to do? I'm afraid. Be careful in the storm. The snow's going to be wet. Be careful when you shovel. Don't overdo it. Don't fall. Don't get in a car accident. All these kinds of things that come up, right? Every one of us is frightened. Every one of us has to find a way to live with fear. This whole next section of the poem is Roger Key's explanation of how to live with fear. And basically, his answer is, let life live through you. Don't feel so separate. You are life. You are life itself. Life is living through this form. And this form, yesterday I mentioned that one of my favorite things I read in the last couple of years was that the mitochondria in every cell in our body, which is, they're living beings, they're separate beings. There are billions of them in our bodies. And in our intestines, there are billions of bacteria, separate beings, that both of them are not me, very clearly. And here was what the article said. They talk to each other. The mitochondria send little packets of protein with information to the bacteria in the gut. And the bacteria in the gut reply. They communicate back and forth. And the bacteria in the gut and the mitochondria also communicate with our nervous system, with our brain. We are a community, each of us. We're a community of billions upon billions of living beings. Let life live through you. Go have fun. Back to Hokusai. Hokusai says, everything is alive. Shells, buildings, fish, mountains, trees, wood is alive, water is alive. Everything lives inside us. Everything has its own life. Hokusai says, live with the world inside you. The Buddha said, everything is inside you. When you practice, when you're mindful of the experience that is occurring, moment after moment after moment, when you pay attention, notice, keep looking, stay curious, you see the whole world. You lose some of the binding of separateness. And you see that we inter-are, that we are connected, that every experience of our senses is relational, that we are connected to all and everything. Everything has its own life. Everything lives inside us. Hokusai says, live with the world inside you. And then he goes on to say, the content and details of your life don't matter. If you didn't have this content, you'd have other content. If you didn't live here, you'd live somewhere else. If you didn't do these kind of activities, you'd do other activities. If these weren't the people you were close to, you would have other people you were close to. If there were, if the things you didn't like, that you really don't like that go on in the world disappeared, other things that you really don't like that go on in the world would appear. It doesn't matter if you draw or write books or saw wood or catch fish or just sit at home. That's not what matters. It matters that you care. It matters that you feel. It matters that you notice. It matters that you let life live through you. Satisfaction and strength is life living through you. Joy is life living through you. Contentment is life living through you. Contentment. This contentment is what the experience the Buddha had as the portal, as the door to awakening. The story the Buddha told was that he had sat down by this tree and decided, I'm not getting up until I awaken. And he's sitting there meditating, and the image came to him, the memory came to him of when he was a boy. And his whole community that he lived with were all outdoors doing an agricultural event. And he was too young to help. So he was sitting under a tree, and in the memory, he remembers, a moment of astounding contentment. The light filtering through the leaves, a soft breeze, the joy of being part of a community, seeing all of this, connection to the earth. And he realized in that moment that contentment was that there was nothing he needed that wasn't already present. And what was already present, nothing needed to leave. There was no wanting, there was no not wanting, there was only contentment. Contentment is life living through you. It's the freedom from being bound to wanting and not wanting. The equanimity that arises with life living through you. Peace is life living through you. And he says, Hokusai says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Look, feel, let life take you by the hand. Let life live through you. So let's take this into our practice.